Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to 10 disturbing interviews with killers. Now, this is kind of a bit of a hot topic at the moment because there's a new series on Netflix about Jeffrey Dahmer, I think his name is. And I've been meaning to watch it, and it just seems like these... It's just crazy to think there's people out there that are capable of just taking people's lives for no reason, really, just because they want to. It's sickening, and it's like, what makes a person capable and even, willing to do that? Why? Is it something that, are they deranged most of the time, or is it just a compulsion that they have deep within them? Is it their upbringing? It could be a million reasons. And this video, I'm hoping it's going to sort of grant a perspective into the mindset of the serial killer. Like, how do they think? Do they have any logic at all? Is everything just emotion and compulsion? Like, what makes them do this crazy shit, really? So this video is going to be really interesting. Let's do it.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking a look at 10 disturbing interviews with killers.
You admit to being evil, Richard?
We are all evil in some form or another.
For this list, we're looking at instances where accused murderers chilled our bones with statements or body language during interviews. Did any of these moments freak you out? Let us know in the comments.
Crazy.
Number 10, John Wayne Gacy. The Netflix documentary The John Wayne Gacy Tapes did a lot to point out the notorious serial killer's sociopathic tendencies when it came to shifting blame for his accused crimes.
Shoelaces, huh? You're in trouble now.
Yeah, right.
Aren't you afraid sitting that close to me?
This wasn't the first time evidence to that end has come out, however, as documented by this piece from CBS News 2 Chicago back in 1992.
I don't believe in hitting children. I don't believe in spoiling a child either. My values are such that
Dude, didn't he kill loads of kids though? Like, what are you talking about?
You're accused of murdering 33 kids.
Jesus.
And you say you didn't believe in hitting.
Interviewer Walter Jacobson doesn't need to do much talking in his encounter with Gacy, as it quickly becomes clear that the former Pogo the Clown is trying his best to present alibi after alibi for his innocence.
Buckovich is not one that I killed, so I don't know nothing about him.
Gacy himself is composed for the most part, although there is a moment where he demonstrates his infamous rope trick with a shoelace that echoes the methodology of his horrible crimes.
Rope trick?
And you just turn this, and I says it causes a tourniquet. I said that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes.
Number 9, Ted Bundy.
Mate, you just gave yourself up. You just showed, very creepy. I don't know if I could sit that close to one of these people, honestly. It would give me such, heebie-jeebies.
Time can change many things about a person, including how they behave while being interviewed. The Ted Bundy featured in a 1977 jailhouse interview from KUTV News appears more in line with the suave yet cold-blooded reputation Bundy had among other notorious serial killers.
You feel that everything will turn out all right, that you are innocent. Do you still feel that?
Yeah, more than ever.
He smiles a lot during the piece and displays body language that appears relaxed and almost happy.
I'm not guilty. Does that include the time I stole a comic book when I was 5 years old?
Bundy keeps eye contact with his interview throughout most of their conversation, and it's easy to become lulled into a false sense of security, which was exactly
Not me.
Ted's intention.
If someone's crazy enough and nutty enough to do something like that, I can't stop them. There's nothing I can do.
Fast forward to the night before his execution, and we see a fearful and pensive Ted Bundy, a man seeking to shift blame for his crimes during his interview with Christian conservative evangelist James Dobson.
There are forces at loose in this country, particularly, again, this kind of violent pornography.
Number 8, Richard Ramirez.
What are you talking about? Just admit what you did. Just admit it.
Ramirez. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, may be one of the most frightening serial killers of all time, not only due to the brutality of his crimes, but also the projected aura of what many perceive to be pure evil.
Yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil.
It's easy to see why during some of Ramirez's more notable interviews over the years, including one conducted with author Mike Watkis.
Serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one. They are a product of the times, and these are bloodthirsty times.
Ramirez's somewhat tense responses to Watkis's questioning imply a coiled rage, an anger that's also exemplified by the Night Stalker's breathing as he seems to become annoyed with Watkis.
I'll tell you what, I gave up on love and happiness a long time ago.
Why?
I don't care to explain that. Let the quote stand for itself.
Ramirez is comparatively more relaxed during a piece with Inside Edition, although that interview also hammers home the Night Stalker's obsession with Satanism, evil, and the occult.
I believe in the evil in human nature.
This is a wicked world.
And in a wicked world, wicked people are born.
Number 7.
To be honest, like, the fact that the lawyers have to sit so close to them, like, I guess maybe if you've done a lot of these cases, you kind of get desensitized, but just being sat so close to someone who's killed, countless people, could you guys do it? You think you could do it? Like, even if they're handcuffed, would you want to? I doubt it.
Edmund Kemper. There's something truly bone-chilling about the matter-of-fact way in which the co-ed killer, Edmund Kemper, describes his past in the 1981 documentary The Killing of America.
Everything went towards killing him, and I didn't. But I'm saying, wow, it's uncanny. It was almost like it was meant to be that way, and I said, wow, this got to stop.
Kemper's impressive intellect and well-spoken nature belie the brutality of a man who committed his first murder at the age of 15.
Wow.
And if it had been in a city, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15. I would have killed until they gunned me down. I wouldn't have been able to reason my way out of it.
The killer even makes a self-referential joke to his modus operandi of picking up hitchhikers by putting on a pair of glasses and asking the camera whether they would get into a car with him.
Now, would you get in the car with this man? Huh?
Kemper's mental state comes across as perpetually active, like a bubbling pot of water about to boil over, while the documentary's exploitative narration pushes the creep factor of this one over the top.
I am an American, and I killed Americans. I am a human being, and I killed human beings. And I did it in my society.
Number 6.
Do a lot of these serial killers have extremely troubled childhoods? Is that what makes them do this? Like, there must be some kind of documentary that's dived into this subject, or is it just something that's just wrong with their brain? Something like maybe part of their brain isn't formed properly, like the compassion and empathy part.
Jeffrey Dahmer. There's no barely repressed rage within the demeanor of Jeffrey Dahmer as he discusses his history with interviewer Stone Phillips.
And I acted on my fantasies, and that's where everything went wrong.
Nor are there any wild headline-grabbing theatrics. Instead, Dahmer's quiet and soft-spoken recounting of his horrible crimes lends the piece that much more power.
He was
the
a
only
cannibal
motive
as well, wasn't he?
that there ever was to completely control a person that I found physically attractive.
There's the power of shock as he discusses the failed attempts at creating, quote, living zombies with the remains of his victims.
Killing wasn't the objective. I just wanted to have the person under my complete control.
There's also the power of how Dahmer's moments of shocking violence are undercut by the killer's regret for the decisions he made, and the futility of what seemed to be a date with infamy and destiny.
Once it happened the first time, it just seemed like it had control of my life from there on in.
Number 5, Gary Ridgeway.
At least he seems to be just up front. He's not trying to hide what he is and what he did. Yeah, just be honest.
Gary Ridgeway, aka the Green River Killer, was one of the most prolific of all American serial murderers.
Well, I whipped out my ID, and with my ID would be I'd put my finger over my driver's license to hide my name.
Doesn't he look and sound a bit like Gary Oldman? Doesn't he?
Ridgeway was also perhaps one of the most unrepentant, a sentiment that's placed front and center during any of his interviews.
A picture of my son. They would No, I was probably a normal person.
Take, for example, one he did with FBI psychopathy profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole, where he very calmly describes how he would gain the trust of his victims.
The only thing that would be better than that would be to have your son in the car with you. That would be an incredible ruse.
That happened once.
O'Toole manages to get Ridgeway talking in depth about his past, his upbringing, and the dozens of victims attributed to the Green River Killer's rampage. Number 4, Charles Manson. There has been a wealth of interview footage of Charles Manson released over the years, much of which can be used as evidence for the man's often unhinged.
He looks terrifying here, man. You know, just everything. You could just tell this guy is just evil. There's just something about his face. Obviously, I'm not talking about the swastika there. Just the everything, the demeanor.
Persona.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like
And there's a lot of that here from this 1987 interview with Today correspondent Heidi Schulman.
I wouldn't do anything that I felt guilty about.
You don't feel guilty at all?
There's no need to feel guilty. I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of.
However, there's also this intent to shatter the myth of Manson as a leader, and this is aided by the visual of Manson's scattershot presence during the interview.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something.
Although the occasionally violent outbursts by Manson have been well documented in this piece, it's the more soft-spoken sound bites that reveal more about the man's own admitted failures and shortcomings.
My awareness and my consciousness is not the same as somebody that goes to school and has a mom and dad. See, not having parents have left me in another dimension, so to say.
Number 3, Otis.
So he had a troubled upbringing as well. Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be a common theme amongst these types of people.
Toole.
I like to say a whole city burned down.
This interview with Otis Toole is the stuff of nightmares. There are a lot of reasons for this too, not the least of which is Toole's explosive bursts of laughter and absolutely chilling smile.
What do you prefer in life? Sex or fire? Or I like both.
Additionally, there's the explicit nature of how Toole describes his past crimes, and how he and former associate and fellow killer Henry Lee Lucas seemed to easily disassociate the value of human life.
It's just like butchering a hog.
Wow. It's just
the
like
grainy and
butchering a
blown-out
hog, he
AV quality of this interview footage only seems to add to the feeling of grime and filth left over by Toole's gleeful accounts and delivery.
Ain't nothing to it. It's like drinking a cup of coffee, smoking cigarette.
Wow.
Once you get into the habit, you do it more and more.
Number 2.
Completely desensitized. He said there's nothing to it. It's like drinking a cup of coffee. Ugh. Wow.
Issei Sagawa.
でたまたまそれが肉屋さんの旦那さんと奥さんで太って愉快な、ご主人でしたけど、動物の解体の仕方とか肉の切り方とか詳しく教えてくれました。
Unlike the majority of our other entries,
This guy was
Issei
a cannibal,
Sagawa
wasn't
isn't
he?
technically a serial killer. However, this interview footage from Vice is too disturbing not to make our list.
でも彼のおかげで、ロンダにエッチな気持ちっていうかセクシー。
Sagawa's history and dark deeds are detailed in the documentary, while Issei himself describes the premeditated shooting and devouring of his classmate René Hautefeld while he was living and studying in France.
で読んで彼女読んだけどどうしてもやっぱり普通に話してる時はニコニコして話してて。
Sagawa's obsessions are also detailed in the piece, as well as the legal loopholes that allowed the killer to escape prison time for his actions.
What?
Sagawa's quiet and fragile demeanor undercuts his words.
How did he escape prison time? I need to watch this video. What the heck?
Spoken in equally hushed and inoffensive tones. It is a frankly horrifying and unbelievable story.
男じゃなくて綺麗な女性に殺されたい。もちろんそれはファンタジー。
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to
Man,
our
the
channel
human
and
mind
ring the
is
bell
just
to get
a
notified about our latest
crazy
videos.
thing, eh?
You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Eileen Wuornos. This interview with Eileen Wuornos on the eve of her execution is disturbing for a number of reasons.
I'm okay. I'm okay. God is going to be there. Jesus Christ is going to be there. All the angels and everything.
For starters, there are the crimes for which Wuornos was convicted, but there are also the stories Eileen tells about her treatment in prison.
They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
Her accusations of sonic torment and food tampering speak to her paranoia and mental state during this time.
And then one day I didn't wash my food off, and I was sick for 3 weeks, almost died.
A state that gradually reaches a...
Man, her face. Literally terrifying. God, imagine like you woke up, you know, and her face was the first thing just like looking at you. You're like, ah!
A fever pitch during the interview.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial.
Wuornos' face as she directly addresses the camera is chilling.
It
and
really
the audience
is.
can only stare back into her eyes as the condemned killer accuses society of, quote, railroading and, quote, sabotage.
2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other...
Disturbing yet fascinating. It's just to think that there's people walking among us, literally, because I'm sure there's killers out there who haven't been caught yet. Just there's people that literally, you know, do this sort of thing. They get pleasure from it or some kind of satisfaction. Just being willing to take another life, another person's life. It's something that it's just, I find it just incredible, really. It's obviously sickening and wrong and evil, but to be able to do that, like to be able to completely switch that empathy part off in your brain, that, you know, that sort of like guilt part, the conscience in you, it's crazy. It really is crazy. Like I want to find a documentary that explains, you know, if there's any sort of commonalities in the personalities of these killers. You know, are there certain behaviors that they elicit that you can try and spot in people? It's just, man, this stuff really blows my mind. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.